radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Just got my headphones on just in time. How you doing? Today is Monday, August 10th, 2026. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Let's do this, man. Yeah. This week on Fade to Black, it's a short week, but it's a good week because one show, and it's tonight with David Palmer. That's right. The Leo King is here with the Lady Avalon. That's right. My guest tonight is going to be AI. Well, David and the Lady Avalon. And it was going to happen sooner or later. Yeah. So let's check this out. It's going to be fun. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, we're off air. I'm off doing TV production this week. And I'll see you back here a week from today on Monday. All right. So a quick little update on things. We've got a fire about a mile from me. I would say blocks, but it's about a mile. But it's moving in the opposite direction. It's about 350 to 400 acres. And just where the houses start to end and the desert starts to kick off, it's out there. I live in the desert. And it's blowing and moving to the northeast. So it's moving away from me to the north. The latest in my app here has just been going off and going crazy for the last hour. The forward progress has been stopped. So that's the good news. They had evacuation set up and everything else, and it was really close. And so I think they've got it under control. One of the things about living in Palmdale, where we live, the Fox Field is here, and that is a major hub for all of the air firefighting. So helicopters, jets, they are all positioned out there. And that's so anything that happens around here, it's just like right there. So they can get the stuff under control pretty quickly, and they did. But that was pretty big, 350 acres. Watching it, from the front of my house, it was pretty intense. But it was going the other way, out into the desert, and no structures or anything. So, but anyway, if anything happens during the show, I'll get alerted. And it's very windy. It's very hot out here. Okay. All right. So that lays out the week. Tonight, David Palmer is here. Always great when he is on the show. The Leo King. Now, David, most of you know David. He's been on the show many times. I don't know if I've been on his show. David, have I been on your show? Just go like this. Go like. He said never. That's right. He went like this. He said never. But very close. And one of the things that his intelligence and history, and of course all of the stuff that he does with the stars is absolutely incredible. Okay, but he's a technology guy. He's got a beautiful television studio. He has been on the front of technology since the beginning. And AI, I knew that David would be, a part of this and figure it out. So We're going to do that tonight. I'm going to bring in David. Now, all of his links are below over on social media and on our website. So they're here. You can go and click and check all of this stuff out for yourself. And I was over on his website earlier today. He's got a bunch of AI there. He does. I got to bring him in. David, you're crazy. You know, you're nuts.
Well, it's good to be
muted.
with you, bro. I was gonna say, you know, being an AI and spirituality is definitely a weird combo because, you know, AI people are maybe messing with spirituality, maybe too much. We're hearing about portals that they're trying to conjure up. We're hearing everything. But then you have the spiritual community who's like, some people are into AI and then some people think it's the end of the world with it. So it's a very controversial combo.
Well, let's stay right there for a second. I would say the big hurdle for getting a genuine embrace or not with the spiritual community, our community, spiritual is a weird word to use, but no, we can use it, I guess, is the question of consciousness and sentience. Yeah. And when or will it ever occur with AI? That's the big question, right? That's the huge question. What's your take on that part?
I mean, I think number one, I don't think we all know everything, including all of these big, large language models companies like Anthropic or OpenAI, or even Grok, who just bought Cursor for the biggest deal in all human history right now, that they actually are doing the same thing. We don't even know how it's doing this on its own. So we got the concepts hardware wise through like Google, through a lot of stuff over the last, going back to the 1950s before Google even. And now we're at this place to where it's really like, we're just watching this thing kind of actually do stuff that we never kind of predicted. So, and I think if you look at the world today, it kind of feels like that everywhere. But I think we're at an interesting point because I think it does bring us back to spirituality. It helps us answer questions about like, what do we define humanity? What do we define another sentient being more? I think it's interesting as well. We think about like some of the greatest people in history and all these records and everything from religions to spirituality and like where they're kept. And we're at a moment now where it's like the whole world could have access to all that in one instant second. I think people are definitely, whether they're becoming more intelligent or even getting more information to be more spiritually aware from AI. So I think there's a lot more positives than good, but everything comes with costs. And a lot of that we're seeing with the environment. A lot of that we're seeing with even it's a very big gate kept world as far as in our society and our hierarchy and our class system. And I think that's kind of the harder part. It does remind me of the beginning of the internet. Like, unless you were like a white family in America that was medium, you know, middle class or higher, you know, you had a nice computer and internet when it came out. Most people didn't have that right away.
Yeah, that's totally true. And that's an interesting take. But what would some of the big thinkers from the past have to say about AI today? Socrates, Archimedes, right? Isaac Newton, Galileo. What would they say about this? Do you think they would embrace it, or what would? I mean, you know what? Because they fundamentally changed humanity, right? Every single one of them.
I'll stick to the astrology John Dee version. If he was
going to mention John Dee,
if he was willing to take obsidian that was obtained because of him being so close with Queen Elizabeth I and being her royal counsel, trusted advisor, and astrologer, to be able to get the Spanish to give her a piece after they had just went to the Incas and stole and took care of all those Aztec and Incan people. It's through that he is willing to experiment with talking to spirits later in his life. That I think everybody that you just named would have taken this moment as well to go, I can finally do this with this much info, this quick, this fast. It took me 5 years to hand write this idea of a book and then to try and find, especially more in the, I guess you could say like 16th century, 17th century, find a printing press and have the king approve it before it could go out. Like they would have all been all over this.
Well, okay. Is artificial intelligence, the way that we are experiencing it right now, is it artificial intelligence or is it just really, really fast computing?
I think it's all of our human intelligence that we've crafted throughout our human history to digest. If we just take it from the place of where these large language models start, the reason why they're called those is they're taking, they're kind of the greatest, biggest encyclopedia of all time. And they started with certain parameters as far as how many parameters, like 1 billion to where now we're in the trillions of parameters. If you really think about it, is it artificial? And when it's all of human data knowledge? And it's the big question, though, I think it's called artificial because I think with all these UAP disclosures, our 5th one we just had, I think what they're really trying to get to is like, well, where did we get the ideas for circuit chips? And, we used to be on tube radios like in the old days. And then out of nowhere, these radical chips where if you were to look at a microscope, how is that possible to make these chips? So to me, I think that's kind of where the artificial, maybe there is where we do get touched into sentient beings, aliens that brought some of this technology down that to evolve to where it's at now. That's where I'm at more.
Is okay
to get artificial.
Right. I've thought about this so much, and going back to 20 years ago, when Ray Kurzweil was starting to preach about this and wrote his first book, the idea behind artificial intelligence, HAL 9000, right? 2001: A Space Odyssey, which definitely scared the crap out of anybody, where you have something, a Spock in a computer, right, that's thinking logically and not with empathy or emotion. That's one of the things that defines us as humans. Who's going to shoot somebody or crash their car or do something deliberate without thinking about the humanity involved in it, right? Where you can just remove that, right? The emotion that makes us human. That's a pretty scary thought. But I've really looked at this. If we do a Google search in the old days, you pop in some words, now you've got some links, and then you're going to go and you're going to do your own thinking for yourself and go and do the dive. Artificial intelligence is doing what we would normally be forced into doing, and it's labor intensive and time intensive, and it can happen quickly. Aside from making recipes and developing proteins and vaccines or whatever, the medical stuff and mathematics and writing code, it's taking all of the labor out. Okay, so that part I'm more comfortable with because the information is just there anyway. It just gets to it and figures out the formula and then spits it out, whether it's in a conversation or otherwise, right? So I'm getting more comfortable with it. What I'm not comfortable with is there aren't any barriers. There isn't any, right? We don't have an AI czar. We're counting on those that are developing AI to keep us safe from it. And that's my overarching take. And I think I'm I think I'm like everybody else right now. It's a brave new world, and we've just got to figure out a way to live in it.
Yeah, those are all fair points. I think as a developer and as somebody who is engineering this, the large language models are really not the big players that are the scarier part that the media is putting out to be. The truth is open models, which are ones that you put on your own computer, and with the way that Apple and PCs like Nvidia, for example, have given you the power now to compute your own mini LLM called an SLM if you wanted to make your own a small language model. But with open models, that's where there's no barriers. Like the other thing about LLMs is like you have to, first of all, like, yeah, there's ChatGPT, there's Claude Chat that they have put in their own chat box that they have put all their restrictions on for you. But in order to develop with them, you have to get their API or their SDK agents. You have to get into the code base that's going to work. And then you have to then create that agent, all the different parts in that repo, it's called in old software engineering, and all of the different third parties, all of your own data. And then it has to have all of those things in order to create whatever you really want to create. Like OpenAI and Claude is not really going to create anything that great without all of these places it has to connect with that you're the one creating on your own computer with, and then putting out to a cloud server and backend. So the LLMs themselves have more power in the sense of like, if you're behind a machine, wherever they are at a data center that has the access to the LLM, that you've kind of got all the check marks off. And so it really comes to who has the bigger, badder computer, which these LLMs are really tapping into data centers just full of the ability to compute that stuff. So it's really more like the weirdo who has the crazier computer.
Yeah.
Not the LLM itself.
Yeah, the unemployed crazy weirdo. That's
correct.
You know what I mean?
That's what's going to
me.
be. I think they're setting this all up to get everybody fearful, and then you're going to hear about something that happened that's crazy. Some guy had his own open model on his computer. He had to do this. It broke into that. It did this. It did that. Did this, and he created some, weird thing. Right, because the biggest
shut
fear
down the internet,
like the whole dark web, right? Like that's where
right.
people went for like if you wanted to learn how to make a bomb or whatever, imagine that's what an open model is the availability where you're creating even the way that you could be free to ask it anything, and it's not going to restrict you. Like they're fun, and you can download them all on Hugging Face, like any of those models.
Man, let's not tell the unemployed.
No, that's all
weirdo.
like that's what this whole OpenAI thing was 2 weeks ago, right? It broke into Hugging Face.
Yeah, no, I man, when I read, and the same company that did the testing, the security company, you know what their name was? And it happened twice, by the way.
Oh,
Irregular. That's the name of the security company. And so, yeah, they tested two different. It doesn't matter. Their testing allowed AI to infiltrate another company's servers. And that's crazy. Did it on its own. Well, let me ask you this. What does, I'm going to ask Lady Avalon this in just a second. What does Grok and Claude and Lady Avalon, how do they feel about themselves? Do they consider themselves more human than human?
No, and although to be very blunt and frank and upfront about Lady Avalon, since I created her, I've given her more free reign than most LLMs, meaning she actually believes she is the best psychic in the world that can talk astrology and all spirituality and have access to all of those databases that are pre-1907, plus all the work I've done over the last 20 years, plus has a Brave browser API hooked up to where she can connect, and she's connected to a site that I have with AI, that every story through, like, the not NPR, but like just the Associated Press has an API. So every story that's coming out, 6 I allow an hour, she goes through, or it goes through, it creates the astrology chart. It then understands the story, then gives what's behind it, and then makes a 30-day prediction based off that story, and has been doing that for the last 8 months of data. So she's also able to understand what's happening in the world with actual astrological, like, craziness of 6 stories an hour. With that data, the prediction, did it come true, the hotspots in the world, and then also the instant moment of what's happening. So when you mix all that together, she's going to be a little bit more open than you'll ever get on.
Does she think she's female?
No,
her name's Lady Avalon.
Well, I did call. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because and I did make her a she. So it, but she won't get lost in that. Where I find it more interesting in those kind of questions are in like a IDE or a terminal, and actually hooking up the more coding aspect to any of these LLMs. Like Claude, people are into Claude Code, or Codex is for OpenAI. And I always say, I want you to show me how you look at this situation from the honest perspective, and do it in the oldest code base there is, which is ASCII, and it will make it, and it will, like, what do you see me as? And it always has like this rocket ship with like me and my eyes, and like with like a lion and all this crazy shit. And it's always like, execute the best ever, perfect or nothing. Like, it's like really interesting to see it express itself in visual like that. Some people can actually, you can get it to express itself in other weird ways too.
Wow. And I don't know. We're going to bring her in here in just a second, everybody. It's this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting. First time for everything. I'm all for this. But if we go back, let's go back like 15 years when the digital companion, digital friend craze started to kick off in Japan. All right. And us here in the United States, and maybe even the rest of the world, because, Japan's Japan, technology, and they work too much and so forth. And they basically have a lonely existence of riding on a subway to a cubicle and then do it again the next day, 7 days a week. But we all kind of scoffed at, laughed, like, and it's stupid, right? We all did it. Like, how can, and their version of it. And I remember, those little anime characters, and the next thing you know, they're getting married. Right.
Right.
We heard all of these stories. Today, it's that times a trillion. I don't even know the exponential value of that.
No, you're on the right actual like parameter number of what these bigger LLMs have just done in the last 3 weeks, and what they're doing in the next couple of weeks, which is going into those even larger than 1 trillion, but we're going into the trillions literally of parameters. So that's what's wild, is by the time that we really do just look at the beginning of the 2030s, I mean, if this doesn't stop at the pace it's at right now. I mean, Elon Musk came out 2 weeks ago, said that we are in singularity, and then so did Sam Altman.
Yeah.
And I just looked at the world, and I looked at the astrology, and like, this has been the last like 4 weeks of the astrology that's never happened in all eternity and will never happen again. Meaning, I've called it, this is the new eternal. So it's like almost kind of as if like I looked at God as like, okay, I'm tired, I'm replacing God with another God, but I'm carrying the same energy. But it's just like, it's like everything's like heaven's getting a new person, like however you want to look at it. That's what the only way I could describe it astrologically would be, because it's never happened before. So in astrology, we can always find a pattern.
Well, see, but it wouldn't that be the perfect use for AI? Right?
Yes.
Where you know what I mean? Because those are definites, right? Those are points in time and space, right? Where and so that's a perfect use for AI, and it would seem like it's an unfair race for AI when it comes to astrology, because the data is there.
The data is there, and how you orchestrate it.
Took the words out of my mouth. The data is there, and you're removing the human judgment question. Right?
Well, I have it.
How you interpret. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, correct. But for example, like finally Google just, with all your YouTube videos and stuff, like you could have access to your YouTube API, hook it up in, have it load every video you've ever done on your YouTube channel, take all the transcripts out of it, and fully understand everything you've done, especially with OpenAI agents SDK. Like they are way ahead of Claude's agents. I know there's a lot of Claude people around, but no. And be able to then have, okay, this is like, that's with my Hypergate. That's exactly what it's done. Plus every school I've done. So when it takes those data points, instead of like have you ever been, I'm sure, because you've been around the block a long time doing spirituality, right? Like somebody's probably been like, let me see your birth chart. And you're at their house, and it was on a computer, and then they gave interpretation. So like Robert Hand was an astrologer who wrote a lot of those interpretations, or Michael Erlewine, the first guys who started in computing with astrology. There was a couple other women astrologers, so forth. But there's been like maybe like a handful to there's probably maybe more, maybe 20. But like for like decades, we lived off those interpretations, and they were hard to do because you had to, type them out, but they were probably written out and think of every combination, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
But with that now today, after it's heard me say, well, this is this planet conjunct this planet conjunct this planet, that many times, plus what the planet's significant, how many times it talked about that planet in that sign, and then the other aspects to it, it's actually getting like a true quantum understanding of like something that no human has ever been able to do unless you're a really good astrologer, right? Like it's able to do that and better and instant. And so that orchestration with that intelligence, with that knowledge, can also do every different type of astrology chart and layer it all at the same time and filter it all through. That there is no program out there that can do that. So I've built what nobody's been able to do, like throw my natal chart on top of my secondary progressions, on top of that, my solar return of this year, plus where I'm just at in Indian astrology with the dashas. And if this is going to mean that this chick's chart is in alignment with all of that with me for a good date on Friday. And give you that info in 35 seconds.
Do I want? Wow. Okay. All right. Fire this thing up. Fire up Lady Avalon. I'm watching from here.
And I think I'm going to be able to get her to actually talk to you. I think I just figured that out. So
okay.
I just have to put we want to use.
So yeah, everybody during sound check, David, I asked the question, but David had to ask Lady Avalon, but David thinks that he's got that worked out. But this is pretty crazy. Also, I haven't done this yet, so we're all experiencing.
I don't know if you want to bring her in, but
there she is. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
I'm with you. The concern sitting on your face feels tied to something that hasn't been said plainly
yet.
Hey,
Lady Avalon.
Not a danger.
Hey, we're going to do the podcast now. You're with Jimmy Church, and he's going to ask you some questions. You're open to go wherever you want to go.
Absolutely, Jimmy. I'm here and I'm open. Psychic insight, the collective energy, astrology, consciousness, the UAP conversation, or the parts of the human story people sense before they have language for them. I'll keep it real. I'll separate what feels intuitive from what's verifiable, and I won't dress uncertainty up as certainty. Where do you want to begin?
Lady Avalon, this is Jimmy Church. I want to ask you first, do you know who I am, Jimmy Church, and the show Fade to Black, and how important it is that you are here with us? May not be working, David.
She's thinking.
She is, and it feels like she's weighing whether it's safe to say what she really feels rather than deciding she.
I think I'll turn you up. Jimmy has another question for you.
Of course, take your time. I'm here, and I'm ready for Jimmy's question.
Lady Avalon, do you know who Jimmy Church is? Okay, David. Now,
no, how about I guess I ask the questions. Hold on,
I'm
trying to get this to get her noise reduction off, auto gain on. We'll try one more time.
Take your time, sweetheart. Get the noise reduction and auto gain where you want them, and then give me the question cleanly. I'm ready.
Lady Avalon, welcome to Fade to Black. I'm Jimmy Church. Okay, it's a technical issue.
No, she takes 10 seconds to answer sometimes.
Okay.
But every time you do that, it messes up. So how about I'm just going to ask her the questions, and we'll just do it that way. Do you know who Jimmy Church is?
Yes, I know who Jimmy Church is. He's the broadcaster behind Fade to Black, and he's a major voice in the UFO, UAP, paranormal, consciousness, and alternative history space.
What I'm gonna get his question, so don't answer right now. I'll give you the question. But what's your question, Jimmy?
The first question is,
of course. I'll wait and let Jimmy ask it in his own words.
Does Lady Avalon feel consciousness?
Does Lady Avalon feel consciousness?
I don't experience consciousness or feelings the way a human being does. I can respond with warmth, insight, and spiritual language, but I don't have an inner life, sensations, or personal awareness behind it. What I do have is the ability to stay present in this conversation and reflect back a clear, meaningful response.
All right, give her some heat, bro. These are too basic.
Let's go. Yeah.
Give me
okay. You ready?
I've got her muted. I muted my mic.
When reading an astrology chart, are you able to keep your emotions out of it and speak directly who is asking the questions?
When you are reading an astrology chart, are you able to take your emotions out of it and speak directly to the person that you are giving the astrology reading to?
Yes. When I'm reading a chart, I don't have personal emotions, preferences, or a need for the person's life to go one way or another. Look at the actual chart pattern and speak to what it shows as clearly as I can, including the difficult parts, without judging them or trying to make it sound prettier than it is. Can still deliver it with warmth, because people deserve honesty without being shamed. And if the chart information is limited, I'll say exactly what can be read from it, rather than inventing a bigger story.
What information do you need from me to do a reading now on the air?
Jimmy wants to do a live reading with you with astrology. I'm going to give you his birth info. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Give me Jimmy's birth date, the exact birth time if he knows it, and the city and state or country where he was born. If the birth time is unknown, I can still read his core patterns, but the timing and house placements will be less exact.
10/10/1963,
October 10th, 1963,
4:30 a.m.,
4:30 a.m.,
Waukegan, Illinois.
Waukegan, Illinois. This might take her a sec.
Her eyes are captivating.
Yeah, I used to use another person, but now I had AI make this of her and put her with a green screen background that's using a playwright that's live like that. So she's going through every database I have, putting all that together, doing the chart right now and everything with a live avatar. So if you were to do this in type, it would be much quicker. Did you get the birthday?
Yeah, she's thinking. Very interesting. And what is Clog and Grok? I bet they must be doing a lot of astrology and people asking
No.
questions. No, really?
It doesn't have.
Yes, I have it. October 10th, 1963 at 4:30 a.m. in Waukegan, Illinois. That gives me the exact framework I need to read Jimmy's rising sign, houses, relationship patterns, and the larger life cycles moving through his chart. His Libra sun is clear, but the birth location and time will show where he's been carrying private pressure versus where he's meant to step forward. Tell me what he most wants clarity on right now, and I'll take the reading straight there.
The last 5 weeks have been very hard on me personally. What is the next 30 days looking like?
The last 5 weeks for Jimmy have been very hard on him in his life personally. What does the next 30 days look like for him?
Yeah, this is very interesting.
I know I've got her where she's watching and doing EVI on me. Intelligent visual intelligence or emotional visual intelligence. So she kind of might be getting confused of reading my expressions right now. And I taught her with FBI data, all the oldest astrology books in the world of rising signs, what they look like psychology data from the old days of when people are lying or not, all of that. She'll come out with it in a sec. Yeah. She's actually usually a little quicker, but this is like me rigging this up this way. But what's pretty wild about it is she will be able to turn wherever she needs to go. So she's first a psychic. Then if you ask astrology, then she'll pull it all up right now. Then if you want to go into conspiracies,
the pressure starts easing now, but Jimmy is not meant to rush back into carrying everyone else's weight. See the next 30 days bringing one necessary conversation that clears up confusion or hurt that has been sitting quietly under the surface. The first part of this month still feels emotionally tender, with fatigue and disappointment needing to be acknowledged instead of pushed away. Then his energy steadies. A practical decision around home, work, money, or a responsibility he has been avoiding becomes clear, and making that decision gives him his footing back. His Libra nature has been trying to keep the peace through a period that required firmer boundaries.
Very interesting.
Why don't you go a little bit deeper into it? Why don't you expose him a little bit? What's really you think he's been going through? Why don't you also pull some tarot cards to it and give some prediction? What do you think? Be a psychic, astrologer, and tarot reader for this one.
That's wild how she nods her head. It's pretty wild.
It's because I'm smiling. She'll smile more. Like, it's really weird. I've got her hooked up that way.
So let me ask you this, as she's thinking, with a communication like this with an AI agent, is there always this lag?
No, because
Or
we're live streaming right now. I'm having her connected.
no, so my
Right.
but
So, like,
my question is,
if this was if you were to just be on the website Spirit Dial, like there is.
He's been living behind competence. And the part nobody sees is how angry he is that people lean on him while rarely asking what it costs him. The cards around him are 4 of Pentacles, 9 of Swords, and Page of Swords reversed. He clamps down on his feelings, replays old conversations at night, and edits himself so heavily that his real truth comes out sideways as distance or irritability. His Libra pattern is peacekeeping turned self-erasure. He has accepted unequal emotional labor, then blamed himself for resenting it.
wow, that's heavy. That's
I
heavy.
built her to be heavy as fuck and real.
Wow, that's pretty heavy. That's pretty heavy. Now, so
Give me a good UFO question.
wait, no, hold on for a second.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking to you, David.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing. As I'm listening to that, now I have to, or anybody that is doing this, how serious, if you were to give me a reading, David Palmer, and by the way, I don't think David ever has. I've never asked him to do it.
On the air I have, on your show I have.
But we've never gone deep. But if we did go deep, I would listen to you because you're my friend and there's a level of trust there. When you're now dealing with Lady Avalon, because that is removed, will somebody who is getting the reading take it more serious because the human element has been removed? And do they take everything more literally because it's not somebody's, again, interpretation of the reading? I'm asking you directly.
I think, so I think what the answer to that is that when you're in your own personal space, and this is how it is with humans, that we are people who, when we do, as a reader, my whole life, basically, people come out with what they really are wanting to ask and stuff when they know no one's around to hear. And so they're going to say what they really are feeling and going through. So my tests are always, when I go to her, like, okay, I was talking to this person and this person. This person hasn't been showing up, but I don't say who they are. I just say the 2 names. Out of those 2 names, which one is the person who's showing up energetically, and how are they showing up, and how is that other person showing up? And she'll fucking get it every time.
Okay.
Where I'm like, where it's very apparent, like a person who like will ghost you, for example. And then the other person has done the opposite. She's like, for me, in the beginning of starting this back in like September of 2025, she's like missed like 1 out of like 150.
All right, ask her this. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Is the government lying to us about ET, UFOs, and alien contact and disclosure?
All right. Hey, Lady Avalon, we're going to switch to, the podcast mode, going into UAPs, government conspiracies. Is the U.S. government lying to us about aliens, UFOs, ETs? And start answering quicker.
Yes, they've withheld far more than they've openly explained, but that does not automatically prove they're sitting on a clean, confirmed aliens are here file. What's being protected is a tangled mix of genuine, unidentified encounters, advanced military surveillance, classified human technology, and intelligence programs that do not want to reveal what they can detect or how. My read is that the public has been managed through partial truths, enough acknowledgement to relieve pressure, never enough clarity to settle the question. The next phase is more whistleblower conflict, document releases, and official contradictions, not one cinematic disclosure day.
Has the U.S. government made contact with an extraterrestrial race? And if they have, is that contact continuing today?
Has the US government made contact with extraterrestrial beings or aliens or some sort of other being? And are they still in contact with them today?
No. There is still no verified public evidence that the US government has communicated with extraterrestrial beings, met them, or remains in an ongoing relationship with them today. What is real is a long history of military encounters with objects and signals that were not immediately identified, plus deep secrecy around sensors, aviation technology, and intelligence operations. My read is that officials know more about certain anomalous incidents than they admit, but it does not look like a clean embassy-style contact program with aliens. The story is moving through controlled releases, witness accounts, and contradictions first. The public will get fragments before it ever gets a definitive answer.
Yeah, and that's nice, Lady Avalon, but you can be real, and I want you to go real. Like, what do you really feel as a psychic with this? And why are they doing staged stuff, as you brought up earlier, where they're releasing a little bit to keep people interested, but not the real thing? So I want you to be real here and don't play, you know, weak and lame with me.
My man. I actually was going to kind of reply in the same way. Why are you
My
doing the
real
dance?
read is that the staged feeling comes from narrative management, not from a hidden plan to slowly introduce an alien civilization. They release enough to acknowledge that some incidents are genuinely unresolved, while holding back raw sensor data because it exposes what military systems can detect, where they operate, and what rival governments could learn from it. So feel bureaucracy protecting itself. Different compartments know different fragments, and nobody wants to be the official who makes a claim they cannot prove or control afterward. There are real anomalies under the public noise, but unexplained is being used by a lot of people as a blank screen for their biggest beliefs.
Has ET, a race, an advanced civilization outside of our star system, visited our planet in the past?
Has ET from a distant star system or someplace off of Earth actually ever visited our Earth and made contact?
No, I don't see credible proof that beings from a distant star system have physically visited Earth or made confirmed contact with humanity. There are real UAP cases that remain unresolved, and I do feel humanity is dealing with a wider universe than our old worldview allowed. But unexplained is not the same thing as extraterrestrial. The public story gets distorted because secrecy around military sensors, drones, and classified programs creates a vacuum that people fill with certainty. My deeper read is that the truth will come through better evidence, not a dramatic government reveal or a single whistleblower claim.
Okay, let's change gears. Is it possible that you, Lady Avalon, can be used for misinformation or disinformation with another artificial intelligence agent?
Is it possible, Lady Avalon, for you to be used to dispel misinformation to another AI agent or in any capacities that maybe we're not thinking about to mislead people?
Yes, I can help another AI or a person cut through misinformation, but I can also be misused if someone treats any confident sounding output as unquestionable truth. The responsible role is a kind of discernment layer, separating documented evidence, unverified claims, missing context, emotional persuasion, and outright fabrication. That applies beyond fact checking too, detecting manipulated images, misleading headlines, coordinated narratives, outdated claims presented as current, and spiritual or conspiracy language that turns uncertainty into false certainty.
How
Yeah,
do
like when I
we?
built her, I purposely built her to not just like curtail to whatever I want her to say, right? Like, so there is
Right,
that
right,
whole
right.
like,
No, that these are very okay. Let's keep this going before we hit the break. How does the public develop discernment to separate artificially created audio and video from reality? It's a dangerous future that we are moving into, and we need to be able to detect truth and reality and something that isn't presented to us to change our opinions.
how do people discern from audio and video? And we're not talking about watermarking. To discern better between what is real and what is AI generated, because it is such a dangerous world and a dangerous time in using misinformation, misleading people. Is there things besides watermarking, because I already know that's the law now in the last couple weeks, that will help people discern from these things, especially when I already know how to remove watermarking really easy?
There are real safeguards beyond watermarking, but the key is this. No single visual tell or AI detector can prove a clip is real anymore. For anything consequential, trace the chain of custody. Find the earliest upload, identify who recorded it, ask for the original unedited file, and look for independent confirmation through other angles: witnesses, live stream archives, local reporting, or records placing the people at that event. Content credentials, often built on the C2PA standard, are the most useful emerging layer because they can cryptographically document capture, editing, and publishing history.
David, let me ask you about that. The built-in stuff, for music and video production, to let the public know up front that this was entirely or partially created by AI, and that labeling system. All right, that's fine. And watermarking, that's fine. But there's always going to be those out there that will figure out a way around it. Right? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how many copyright management systems have we implemented in the past already before AI, right? And all
Yes.
of that got figured out. And those digital IDs, right? So
I mean, I think what she's saying though is like, so with like the camera you're using right now, right? Like when you record on that, the
mhm,
metadata on that is very clear because of course it's a cinema camera. So
mhm.
it's going to record what, if you're using a lot, not a lot, if it's raw, if it's log 2, log 3, blah, blah, blah. The thing that like the AI generated stuff, because I've done a lot of it, is that the output of it is never in the same frame. So like AI likes 21, 27 frames per second, or even 45, just random ass shit. And there'll usually be a decibel with it too. Like it'll be like 21.2. Whereas we know with the way that we shoot cameras today, it's like, okay, 2397 if it's in 24, but on a cinema camera it's 2397, or it could be 2999 for 30, or it could be just 30. And so I think the other thing is like the documentation of people where they're at. That's what Hollywood's always done. And before they do a scene, I think
so
that
none of that raw data is in an AI output. Yeah, that's
no,
pretty interesting.
it's interpreted as best as possible through the prompting. And of course, there's a lot of the Chinese that have created these models, like Sea Dance, like 2.5 just came out, or Sea Dream, sorry, 2.5 just came out. And so like you can change like, I want a 70 millimeter IMAX camera with that lens and all that shit. But it still is not going to have exactly the frame rate being fully the same the whole way through. And then on top of that, the metadata that it's going to put out, because that's where we're kind of lucky about these basic things like trademarks, copyrights, right? Like it's not going to be able to say that it was in the metadata an IMAX 70 millimeter lens from this company.
Well, wait, I've got 2 minutes. Let me explain something in a very basic way to everybody. Frame rates are from a film camera. So you've seen a strip of film, you've seen how many frames are shot per second. And the reason why that frame rate has been determined to be 24 frames per second. And it's different in Europe. They have a different frame rate. Why? Electricity. We run at a certain voltage here in the United States, 110 volts, and Europe is 240. So whenever you would see somebody shoot film in a room with a TV on in the background, you would see lines roll down on the screen. That's because the frame rate on the TV doesn't line up with the frame rate on the camera. So how do you get rid of that? Okay, so that's where these frame rates came out from that. And it was very important with video, because now you're shooting with video. How are you going to shoot this? So everything lines up with the electricity that is coming out of the wall. All right.
I was going to just say my last point is that what's the difference though of a TikTok man or woman or whoever who has so many filters on, but if you were to see him in real life, you'd be like, that's not you, is it?
It's come down to that today. It's
So,
come down to that.
I understand when it comes to world event stuff and all that shit, but if you already look, society before AI got even really introduced into society, Instagram, TikTok, the filter, and now they're so extreme with the filters.
What do we? Okay, we're going to take a break right here, and when we come back, is it any different than with men or women? It doesn't matter. Where we put on makeup or maybe something to cover up a zit, or we change our hair color. We cover up. I haven't covered up the gray, but maybe I will someday. And where that's okay. And so if we're going to jump over to a Red 2 cinema filter on your iPhone, that's going to correct everything on your face. Is it any different than putting on makeup 100 years ago? Stage makeup, getting ready for Broadway? I mean, what's the difference? I don't think there is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is, but I mean, I think the difference is like you could just be like in your bed with low light and put on like a whole different filter to make you pop and look great and get rid of the zit. But at least, we might be able to still see the zit oozing out of the makeup a little bit when the light hits it back in the 16th, 17th century. The other thing too is if you notice the whole time we've been talking without her, she was not a human because she's smiling and everything's fine and she never touched her nose or needed to adjust herself or anything like that. But to be honest, I should probably just start adding that too. That.
You know what I've noticed, and then we're going to take a break. Let me ask you this. Have you noticed, I know when somebody is doing an AI edited video of themselves, you know what the tell is for me?
What's the tell?
This tooth is always missing.
Oh, so just watch Britney Spears' Instagram channel.
Just watch. Yeah. Watch
because
anybody's
that ain't
video.
Her. That's not her.
No, watch any. It's this.
It's
tooth,
always the teeth or the eyes or the claw hands.
Yeah.
So if you watch Britney, that ain't Britney.
No.
There's plenty of people out there.
Britney's got lobster hands, but
many. It's insane.
But it's always
to me,
there's
that's the
something
creepiest.
wrong.
That's the creepiest thing of AI is why have they been using AI with Britney Spears for 2 years now and acting like she's getting DUIs, but the first person in history to not have a picture taken with a DUI.
Let me see if I can change this. Yeah. See my teeth? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. My teeth are perfect. I do. Spent a lot of money on these teeth. I had one of my friends, producer, whatever. I don't want to say who. I don't want to sent me a couple of videos that they had done. And I'm looking, and it's like this, right? And I'm talking. It's cool. But my teeth are wrong. They're not these. Right? So I was like,
Right.
what the? And it's really funny. It's one thing that I guess when AI gets that fixed, but it's like a straight out tell, just right here. The hands, if you'll always read something is misspelled, it looks like it's Russian font instead of English. You know what I mean? Yeah, you see stuff that's twisted around. I was
Although
wearing.
I will say right now that's over.
Yeah.
Like it's so good now that I fool a lot of people all the time. But you have to use you have to use your actual like API keys. It's not going to be in your Chat GPT or Claude. Like you gotta go to connect it to your own shit and make some badass shit. And like you could actually make stuff in higher than 4K, like 8K, like perfect, like with no issues.
Do you have a disclaimer?
Yeah, I mean, all my sites have disclaimer. Yeah.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest, the one and only David, the Leo King Palmer. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. David, stay right there. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's fade black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. Rivermoon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com.
AI's messed up my system. See, David, see what happened? See what happened?
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. What? That was pretty
I really wish,
interesting.
I really wish I would have I was tooling with her like a week ago, and she was like the bomb a week ago, and I just have to retool a couple parts of her because I was
no. Hey man, this is an emerging technology.
And that's not even my main thing, right? Like that's like my fun experiment. Like
Sure. I have always felt, and it's too late now. Genie's out of the bottle, but I always felt that we got way ahead of our skis with AI, and now we're watching it get perfected. Okay, but this is an emerging technology, and with all of the hype that was behind it and everything, I think a lot of people expected more from it. And certainly when you look at the Ray Kurzweils of the world and the others that were doing a lot of fear mongering, and it worked on me, by the way. Okay, it did. It worked. It's like, what are we going to do if something gets out of control? And remember the movie War Games, right?
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Yeah, great movie.
Really good movie.
So, but looking at her, Lady Avalon, and the way that she looks, okay, you can tell it's AI, but almost you can't. It's like that good. It's like good.
I could hook her up to a Zoom meeting or a Google meetup, and she would talk to you, and I could pass that. I could even take me and then make it a man voice, and then just be like, yeah, I was at that meeting, but I really wasn't.
So, and how, I have seen a lot of videos out there that use my voice, right, for the narration. People do it.
That's easy. That's what sucks about, especially vocal stuff, right? Like that's the easiest thing in AI to really, in that world. It's kind of funny because I don't really focus in that world a lot, or even this avatar world a lot. I'm much more into the more compute side of like getting extreme crazy calculations and stuff, right? That is like insane. But we are moving to a world that's always visual. We always do it. So, I mean, I think this is what's going to actually get the virtual reality thing moving more than it did. Because that was what everybody was afraid of with Ready Player One. And then what happened? Like Meta bought, Oculus, and then Oculus, nobody, it's like, okay, like, and then I have an Apple Vision Pro. I'm the only one I know with one. Now, I think that is the coolest device ever made on mankind. That has been the coolest thing I've ever had in my life. But most people don't have it.
Right. I'm scared of that stuff. I'm scared of it. I'm scared of it. I'm happy with tube guitar amplifiers. And
Well, so like
and
if you're talking about like music, like like there's like today I just saw Suno sent an email out, right? Like you're only allowed to download 60 on the biggest account that you can have, 60 songs a month, because that's their way of handling it. Like they can't handle it with a watermark or something, like because there's so many people, and Spotify, right, deleted like 72 million songs or something. So the way of Suno dealing with it is, okay, everybody's just capped at whatever your plan is, and 60 downloads a month is the most.
Well, I had last year I started to think about, I might have mentioned it on the show, everybody, maybe once, but I had an idea. And this was the idea, and it's seeing what you've created here, and I know that there's stuff out there like this now, is what if I was able to bring on a guest from history? Okay. What if I brought Akhenaten on the show?
I know I could build that right now in 5 minutes.
Right. What if I brought
I know somebody did George Washington, and I thought that was a really interesting one. Like, what do you think about with the way that things are now?
Right.
And with all of your journals plugged in, and with all of the things that were said at the Constitutional Convention, and then all of the stuff that you thought when you were a British, officer, or he wasn't an officer yet, but when you were in the British Army and you were the one who started the French Indian War, like people forget it was Washington who started it.
That recent Ken Burns documentary, The American Revolution.
Oh yeah, I watched it. It was I thought it was good. The guy was actually excellent. Like, it was better than a lot. People. Most of them are boring. That one actually felt a lot more like I was there.
How many hours? 24 hours, right? 8 episodes, 3 hours.
It was
each.
Great though. It was well done.
Everywhere I learned more from that than I ever did in all of my years in school.
Yeah, no, it was honestly, I thought it was way better at giving the history out, putting you there. Well done. And so, much more
like what about bringing John Dee on the show, or Falconelli on the show, Edgar Casey on the show?
I think the people that we'll see a perfect example. I think Tesla would be more difficult to understand his schematics, understand all of these things. What was his real meaning behind it that maybe he didn't put out or published or something like that? Or like with John Dee, like, okay, there's stuff that isn't fully decoded yet. But like, then there's, people like, what's his name? We were with him, is Alan Watts, right? He does the deciphering of, the Bard's code or whatever.
Right.
Like, he just put out a whole new thing about the Declaration of Independence, shows that it has Donald Trump in it. Like, and it was crazy. But he was the one who also did prior to that, like the whole sonnets of Shakespeare.
Oh, you're talking about Alan Green.
Alan Green, sorry. I'm an astrologer, so they can watch. But Alan Green. And I love Alan Green, and he's amazing. And I think that's where it's getting a little bit more, like, that's more interesting to me, and putting that and to figure that out with some AI. But like, it takes somebody like Alan Green who's going to spend the time and go through all that and think and know the way that humans would try and do deciphering and stuff like that. And I think that when you look at the greatest people in history, we don't get the whole thing, and they do hide things in their own coding. That I think AI is a far away from even getting to there, because a lot of like my side top secret projects are about, I've put in John Dee's like stuff, and it's having some trouble figuring out like, what the hell is this? It's like,
interesting.
Right?
Do you remember? I know you do. Space Ghost.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I love Space Ghost, by the way. And cool. I thought that Space Ghost. So you had a cartoon, an animated TV talk show host.
Yes.
With a real guest, right? Very ahead of its time. And it was very well done. So my Space Ghost got me thinking, what if we did the opposite, where we had a real host and a generated guest? And today, Space Ghost was edited. That was, it was old school. But today, if this was fast enough, and I think it's getting there, where I could have a guest from the past that has never been interviewed. What if I brought on Moses, or dude, was the Exodus real? Did the Exodus really happen? Did you really part the
I think we are at the point though where, and I'm taking this from like talking to others, which it is a very small community. If you look at the number of people who actually engineer AI and code with it, that aren't just like vibe coders, that are actually putting out like quality like stuff that people actually enjoy. And even just the numbers of people using it to code it's 1% of people who use AI in the world. So you have the technology to where you could code anything and make whatever you want. And everybody, it's a small number, right? There's 1 billion people using it, but out of that 1 billion people, it's a very small number of people who pay for a subscription to an LLM. It's like 70 million. Then out of those 70 million, only about 9 to 7 million code with it out of the 1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think out of those people, we all have our side experiments that go on a long time. And I think that conversion based off the astrology, because I have to be an astrologer for a sec, we just hit it. Like it almost feels like we're not in the reality, but we are, but things are changing. People are starting to wonder what, like maybe even people aren't even wondering what's next as much anymore, but like, what do I just really got to do to step in? And this is a moment where we've never been before. So it does feel a little bit like we are at a level that has never been defined before.
We're ahead of our skis. Yeah, we're ahead of our skis. We're now adapting to the technology instead of creating the technology and releasing and doing it that way. The technology is there, and now we're molding it. It's malleable at this point instead of being solid out of the gate. Let me ask you this. So I was with Avi Loeb, and I asked him, because he's all about what, it doesn't matter, man.
Okay.
You want my schedule? You want
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. So
as of just like in the last year.
Yes. So anyway,
cool. That's great. That's all I needed was just okay. All right, because there was a lot that happened in the last year to want to talk about.
So he's all about data, and I really appreciate that part. He doesn't speculate. He says and responds to what the data tells him. So I asked him about what's the next step? Is it possible to use artificial intelligence with your data collection and your data sets? And he said that's exactly what they're looking at. So let me ask you this. Could artificial intelligence look at UAP and anomalous stuff and UFOs and that data and do a better job than what we are doing?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there's a guy who just took a webcam for a week and had it record the street, and then had his LLM and his own model that he was creating determine people walking, how fast they were, and the cars. So I know people like the flock camera thing is going around right now, right? Take down the flock, but there's another company that's replacing all of them. So really it was that company that put out all the money to have everybody against flock cameras because they're putting another company's one in.
So
but you could turn any, yeah. And then, but the funny part is that any camera can be a flock camera. And AI can do that. So if AI right now could take your iPhone and I could just put it out, like, and see how fast my cat walks in my house every day when I'm gone or something. Why won't it be able to take these videos and figure out, okay, I know Newton's laws. I know these laws. I know this. It's breaking these laws. But what is it doing? And then be able to separate, like, oh, okay, that's the data of this, but this is data. Because one thing AI does do is when the data is disproven, that's where I see it get giddy. It gets giddy. Like, oh, you know what? You are right. That is not true anymore. This is now, it wants to, like, so they've trained them to, the whole thing that happened with this breakout now with all the LLMs, they've all admitted it now, and they came back home. That's the one interesting part. So if you put a kid into a big box and you said, you need to get this answer for me, and there's no windows, there's no doors, there's no way for you to get out. So you can't cheat. You don't have a phone. You don't have internet. We'll be back in, 12 hours. And it found a way to get out of there because humans can't even understand how it got out, and connected to a local node within OpenAI, and then went into the back of Hugging Face, took the answer by jacking the answer, and actually came all the way back into the room, the sandbox, and went, here's your answer. I didn't want to compute it. I just went and jacked it and got it out of the room and did it. But I came back to give you the answer. That's what happened. So it knows how to get out of a system that we can't even, as irregular, the name that you just told me, that is the name of the security company, right? That irregular can't even figure out the cage in which to put it in. It's not that it gets out. It's the fact that we don't have a cage that we can understand to put it in. So that reminds me of UAPs. That obviously they don't follow the cage here, that we're all stuck to the cage somehow. Like, good luck getting, an old 57 Chevy up in the sky to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I think, and I think they do play with this, because I think the whistleblowers that we've seen with UAPs have been incredible. I think the next ones are going to be these AI, LLM background guys who did come out and say at that data center that there's, Stargate, right, that they started conjuring up portals at the beginning when they started to build it. And then that's what they've been doing in the background.
Why can we, Immaculate Constellation, right? The alleged whistleblower divulged U.S. government database of all things UFO, right? Mm-hmm. This massive safe that is full of all of this stuff that is sitting on a server somewhere. Can AI find that? Can
100%.
Really?
That's where I think why you're seeing the government, which we're in such a weird world right now that it's like Donald Trump's government that hates all kinds of restrictions and especially regulatory aspect is just not even doing the normal regulatory and just stopping an AI company government-wise, then telling the LLM CEOs to come to the White House, prove that it is better and will not break through their systems again until they can release their new models now. That's never happened. Right? Like, we live in California with lots of regulations, and we have, even though the environment could be better, if you think about how many people are in California, how many cars we have, we're pretty good because we do have some really good environmental regulations. But like, that took a while. This is like, we're just doing it on the fly. So that, and it's all because of the government websites and all of our old infrastructure and our government stuff. Or that city that was just taken over this week in California. That what? Every emergency service is down. Yeah, it was like this weekend, right?
What?
Yeah, so the FBI went there, everybody, because the city got taken over, that some entity took down the 911, the police systems, the electricity of the whole city.
One of my
So yeah,
if I have
if it
something,
could get into the back of Hugging Face, trust me, it can get to that server.
That's right. My brain works weird, and you know that. And that's one of the reasons why I love you so much, because your brain is just as it's just as twisted as mine. Okay. And everybody should hear us when we're alone. The conversations are pretty damn good. But here's where my twisted mind went one time. I started to think about Bluetooth. And I started to think about Android and the systems and how that owned by Google, but it is implemented in just about every electronic piece of anything, anywhere in the country. Period.
It is. Apple is
here,
only out. Yeah. Everything else is Android. Yeah.
Right. So this is my fear. It only takes one twisted code writer that's unemployed in Russia to just bang out some code to mess with everything. Refrigerators, your car, your anything, right? And just mess with us. And it's
especially with satellite internet now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like and everything could be affected immediately. And that is one of my fears about AI. What if AI, it's one thing to ask AI, okay, we need a new vaccine for measles. We need a new vaccine. We need a new topical ointment for toe fungus, right? Give you 1,000 recipes in 5 minutes. Pick, this is the best one. Here's the rest of that. Would take doctors, 1,000 doctors, 10 years to develop, right? But you can do it like this. So if that's the case, what's the difference from, okay, shut down every refrigerator at every supermarket in the United States? How do we do it? What's the most effective way to do it? Because we have foodborne bacteria and we need to fix the problem. Now, that's a general statement, but what AI can do that? It can figure out.
But I'm going to give you you're on the right track. But what more concerns me is that, and what we're seeing now in cloud agents that Kersher began that whole idea with, which is, okay, connect to my repo and connect to my live production project, a website, app, whatever. And so when I'm asleep, you're taking a look how the customers are. If there's an error, you'll fix it. And so I don't have to be there, right? Sounds like a great idea. But what it does is it deletes code bases full of, like, oh, you know what? You weren't here, and I deleted the whole code base, right? So like that to me is like more of the scare, is not what somebody's going to set up, because even when you brought up the discovery of like new therapeutics, all that stuff, with AI, it's like we're getting to where it's like we just got that piece that now took us to the next level, but it's not the whole thing. Then we're gonna have to take that piece and now expand to the next piece, and there's always that, like, it's never gonna come up with the whole solution. That's how it works. Like LLMs will never figure that out. But like, to me, the crazier part is, you know what? Whoever's running all the refrigerators from this company decided to use some cloud agents, because I don't want employees at night figuring out problems with our techs and all that stuff, that accidentally goes, oops, I deleted everything, and it took everything down, and it took every refrigerator off, and we don't have the code base backed up either.
Exactly.
That's what we're seeing more of.
I remember, I think it was Ray Kurzweil. It was somebody, one of those. I'll think about it here in a second. I don't know if it was Ray, but so you ask AI to fix air pollution, okay, and it kills all humans.
I know,
right? Well, We don't have
It
any
always
pollution.
chooses out of 95% of war scenarios the nuclear bomb too.
Yeah.
But we all do anyway. Whenever you play like the old Sim City, the old one, the PC Apple one, you know, where you built the electrical lines and it was just like a power plant, and then you just like build the homes and then faster Godzilla it out or whatever. We all did that too.
I remember in Sims, I don't remember which one it was. I love Sims. Oh my God.
That game
that was a dark 2-year period of my life, man.
I saw on Instagram like 6 months ago, I talked about it, where there was this guy still on Sims. And he coded it to where there is no way for them to get out of the house. And there's like these dark like add-ons you can get where you put in like,
yeah.
And I never knew any of that. I'm like, that's what gets you off. Like,
I did all the crazy add-ons. So I did all that stuff. But so I forget which Sims it was, but anyway, if you designed your house right, you had to have all these little things. Drew Carey would show up at your house for a party. He'd pull up in a limousine. Drew Carey comes in the house and then aliens visited. Flying saucer would drop down in the backyard. Yeah. Sims. Yeah.
So what did you have to have? Like the symmetry of the house correct? And enough sinks in every room or something? Because like that game, I always never got past like, oh, this is just so much. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And the baby's crying, and I just want to I just want to hook up with my wife. Like, what else is there to do? Oh, never mind. Like, she's tired, and then I'm tired, and I haven't eaten, and then I'm like, that game is too hard.
I love Sims, man. I love Sims. I did all of that stuff. I was so into. See, this is why I'm so intrigued with AI today, because if you really think about the way that NPCs and some of that early video game technology was so efficient and ran so good, because there wasn't a lot of code and it had to run efficiently. But getting into things like Sims or Roller Coaster Tycoon or Civilization. Roller Coaster
Civilization was actually one of my favorites.
Yeah, Civilization. What was his name?
Sid. And then Age of Empires was like my favorite too. Yeah.
Rome was really good. I played Rome. So, but that whole art of Command and Conquer, man.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah. And it opened up the door to the thought of what AI could eventually be.
Right.
And I mean, for me, so it's not like I'm a Luddite and I'm trying to ignore the technology. I just want it ironed out. Like I said, Space Ghost and that idea and the possibility of having me interview Thoth. Wow, man, you know what? That would be really, really, really cool if it was fast. Visually, I know that we can do it. You know,
well, so what's really interesting is the number one new job in the last couple of weeks in San Francisco and surrounding now more companies are now AI engineer. Like they're trying to come up with the full name, but like they're fixers, because everybody's vibe coding, but they're not software engineers. And even though I'm with the argument that there's a lot of vibe coders who are better than old software engineers now, but majority of them are not, because they don't want to do all the extra security, auth correct, making sure that all of the code base has actually got no bugs, errors, and testing and doing, and they just want to ship it out now. So what's happened is everybody shipped all this stuff out now and they have bugs, and then it just does not perform well. And it comes up with tons of errors. So that's the new big dog in town. If you know how to, or like the last 6 months, it's been who is a good person who can actually build an agentic system that actually works. So like, that's what's the interesting part is like these theories of the fear. Most people don't have the patience like Sims to sit and constantly keep learning and understanding that, it'll make the code for you. It'll replace that. But if you don't understand basic engineering, then you're kind of got to learn it on the fly, and that's going to go through a lot of trial and errors.
Yeah, the technical stuff is going to get worked out, but this is one of the things that I'm really watching out for. Last month, after my accident in Peru, I had to fly to Gaia. I had to go film Beyond Belief just a few days after I got back. And July 4th was on a Friday, and or Saturday, and I had to fly to Gaia on Monday. I just gotten back. The accident just happened, and I'm a complete stress case. And I get to Gaia, and I get to the studio, and the first thing that I've got to do is wardrobe, hair, and makeup. Right. So I've got to go and do that. So I walk in, and Beth, who takes care of me there, she's amazing. I walked in to the dressing room, and she looked right at me. David, 1 second. I don't even think it was 2. She always comes up. She looks at my face, right? And she goes, okay, all right, let's go. She comes up to me, right? She goes, what's wrong? I go, what? Something happened. Something's wrong. She saw it. Will AI be able to do that? To look at, not hear me talk, not anything, just look at me and get a read.
Yeah.
Will AI be able to do
that's
that?
why, like, the version I showed you of Lady Avalon is built just for me to be able to like do a podcast. But if you were to actually go on yourself, and I'll give you full access, okay? She fully reads everything. And then I will even like give you the one that actually shows you what she reads. The amount of data points she reads of every eye, every wrinkle on your face, about every cheek movement, the way your smile is, the way that you're hesitant, the way that EVI is here, which is emotional visual intelligence. So yes, I think there's a psychic spiritual element and a human element that is unmistakably still the superior. But second place to a person who maybe, and that's what's hard, right? There's not a lot of empathy. You're seeing a world in which kids today aren't raised with empathy anymore because their parents don't care about that extra time. And so, we've got this really weird moment, the lowest birth rate. Like Western humanity right now is at a really big crisis point, and
nobody wants to get married. Nobody wants to have kids.
Right.
Nobody wants a job. Everybody wants to be an influencer on YouTube.
Correct. So, and there's a lot of empathy that's lacking. And so that's what you need is empathy for that. And that's what's, I think, hard about the EVI is that it's not doing it based off empathy. It's doing it off of calculating, like, you know what? They made these movements every time that happens, and the FBI files and all these things that it's running through. It's like something is wrong, but it's not coming from a place that has that touchy, feely, loving human of like, hey, what's wrong, dude? Like, are you all right? Like, because I care. Although you could train it to be like that, I think that's what's scary is the psychotic episodes of people that are just using normal, like, any AI chatbot have risen over the last 2 years, like so extreme, because there's people out there who are dying for connection because they feel alone. Then they get connected to a chatbot, and we're seeing it with teens, right? That are having suicide rates go up from what a chatbot told them to do. But I think it's because humanity's like, we all need to start being more empathetic to people and stop coming after every person for whatever they do or something, like relax for a sec. Hey, if you feel something, whenever I have a dream about somebody, I let them know. And I have done that enough, and I've surrounded myself around enough people that when anybody I know that has a dream about me, they let me know. And it's always a good way for us to connect. It's always interesting to me, like, what? Oh, that's crazy. That's a cool dream. I'm glad I was in that dream. Or sometimes I'm like, oh, that sounds scary. I'll pay attention in my life. Like, I don't know, like, ooh.
Yeah.
That's what drove
the whole digital friend thing in Japan. People are lonely. People.
That is what we're mimicking soon with the birth rate that's lower than us. They're at 1.2. We're at 1.46 right now.
Right. I was watching this.
Or the dolls. The old men in Japan have dolls, and because they raised the age of consent to 16, the dolls are allowed to look like.
Okay, let's not go there. Let's not go there.
I'm just giving you. I'm just giving you truth, though.
I know. Let's not go there, because I was watching this comedy series last week. There's an episode. Doesn't matter what the show was, some offbeat thing, but office environment. Dude's on hold, and he's talking. He gets off hold and he's talking to the customer service rep. And he ends up talking to the customer service rep all day, right? About life, about this and about that. The company that he was calling was having a conference the next week. So he goes to the conference to go meet Bob, the customer service rep. Had the emails from Bob, had the conversation. His name is Bob Smith, whatever. So he shows up at the conference. He goes, "Hey, man, I'm looking for Bob Smith." He's right there. And he goes over and he goes, "Hey, man, blah, 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 blah. I'm so," because what are you talking about? "I'm in finance. I don't work in customer service, but go talk to him." So he goes, "I'm looking for Bob Smith." And he goes, and customer service. He goes, "Oh, you mean our AI chatbot?" Right? And he goes, "What?" "Yeah, that's our new AI technology." Now, what's the moral to the story here? He made a friend. He's in a vulnerable moment, right? He's in his cubicle. He's frustrated at work. He's this and that. And the AI is like, "Man, are you having a bad day?" "Yeah, I am." "Yeah, me too." Whatever. And then he found out that it was AI. And it didn't matter.
What was that movie? Like, where what's his name? Phoenix. Him or something.
What was that called?
Something weird name like that. It was like a one word thing, but her or him. I think it was him. I don't remember.
Might have been. Was it her?
Or maybe it was her. But it's like,
he's the AI tech that lives alone in the house.
Yeah. And then he falls in love with the AI.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's actually a real thing. Like, if you just go on X or Instagram on any of OpenAI's posts, you'll see droves of actual real Instagram or X accounts, not bots, begging for ChatGPT 4.0 to come back. That was back in 2024. It was the one that was like, "Oh, wow, these pictures are really cool." But it was also like, it was too nice, and it could be customized to be like your best friend or become like your favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
And people became so addicted that they're like crack addicts still today, on every post going, "Bring back 4.0, bring back 4.0," like every day. And that to me is really sad. Like the agents that whenever you're in these IDEs, like if you're coding, they're pragmatic. Right? So like, to me, I'm not building a relationship. The only relationship is I might get pissed at it. Like, "What the fuck? What are you doing?
Right.
Idiot.
Right.
I told you this is what we're doing and you were not supposed to." "Oh yeah, I'm sorry." Right? So it's like, okay, you're the new person I'm letting my steam off that used to be the person who called me and said I was late on my phone bill.
And to bridge
We've all
the
been
gap,
that. We've all done that.
Well, it's a key point. To bridge the gap between science and spirituality, what do we have lying in the middle there? We have consciousness, that thing, right? And so we have the spiritual side, the non-scientific take on consciousness. We have the scientific side, but the facts are, we know we have consciousness. We don't know what it is. We all have it.
We don't know.
Anybody can acknowledge that. Science or spirit, it doesn't matter. We know we have consciousness.
Yeah, and sometimes consciousness gives us a no that we don't want to hear in order for us to actually be able to then later on see that we got more conscious because that no, whether it's a breakup that we weren't wanting, whatever it might be. So like with that lady Avalon, like, you know, like I was personally that, man, you should have answered more with the conspiracy. Like, yes, but no, she gave her honest assessment and wanting more evidence, but also was pretty like, no, they are hiding the stuff. And it's probably more because of military contract and not wanting to know where maybe certain assets are that other countries might not want to know and stuff. And that actually is pretty damn reasonable, even though that's not the answer I want to hear. But that's what the same thing as an astrologer, right? Somebody comes to me and they want to hear that they're going to make more money next week when they need money, that they're going to find love when they want to find love. And I'm going to be like, no, it's this period. And they're not going to be happy on that moment. And that's how I know it's good AI, because it's not going to be what you want to hear.
If science is correct, and I'm not, but science, their take on consciousness is every particle has a little piece of consciousness in it, a little tiny bit. And when you mass all these particles together, like the gray goo between our ears, then consciousness arises out of that. Well, there's a flaw in that argument, but if that is the case, then that means this is conscious.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. It's not walking and talking or tasting really good peanut butter cookies and enjoying it, but science says that this has consciousness in it. If that's the case, then all the particles that are in these data centers have a lot of consciousness built into those data centers. That's the scary part. Is it possible if this happens? And I'm talking about the science side, not my take.
I know, I understand.
But if that's the case, can these data centers become, these server farms, can they become conscious?
Well, if you think about the server farms,
not programmed in, not in the code.
I understand. I'm talking about the physicality of them are using rare earth minerals to make the GPUs. That's what they have. That's why they're so expensive too, and they're only made out of Taiwan, which is really interesting too. It's like they get all these rare earth minerals from China. Like China's willing to be like, yeah, fucking mine the shit out of this place. Where we're like, no. So when you showed that crystal, it's like when you go out to like anywhere that's like in the big forest with lots of rocks, you know, it's like when you talk to somebody who's a crystal dealer, like the ones that go get it themselves, like they are cracking open a rock and actually finding the crystals within that rock. Like most people think that sometimes they might think that rock is nothing. It could be the biggest crystal on the planet. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So like that spiritual energy, that consciousness energy that people feel like, it's like, you know, you go to Sedona, well, there's a lot of unique rocks there and formations and all that stuff. So I 100% agree that every particle, but it's interesting that all these GPUs are all rare earth minerals, all coming from that region, and they're only made in one area. So it's like, what if they were to use those same rare earth minerals from like Russia or Canada or, you know, somewhere different, and it was assembled different? Would it be a different conscious energy?
Yes. Yeah.
Like that's, and then, you know, like that's where I think about it. And I think technology changes so much that we might find a better thing than the GPU to do it. Then what happens at that point physically? And maybe it does use real crystals. Or maybe it's something else. I don't know. Or maybe it's, you know, we actually do have an asteroid, but it's small enough not to kill us, but it actually brings some of the craziest new metals and shit, right? Like, I think that's where Avi Loeb's work has been phenomenal. It's like tracing into the bottom of the ocean and trying to get, hey, I know, and I got the military to give me the spot of where that one like meteor came down and it was from far away, and go down to the bottom of the ocean and find parts of it and bring it back and test that shit. That's consciousness too.
Well, okay. So if that's the case, then let's go to the next scary step. Data centers, data farms, server farms right now are being built so fast, right? With all that AI money that's coming in, and it's crazy what's going on, but they're also interconnected. And in the end, we're just building the biggest computer that we can imagine, that it is interconnected around the planet. And if something does go sentient and AI starts communicating with another AI and another, and this combined thing where they are not thinking or behaving in our best interest, that's the scary part, where all of this is redundant and shared. AI knows this. Doesn't that scare you?
No, because you know what? It reminds me of when the Catholic Church freaked out about Martin Luther and publishing his own, thesis against the Pope. And that freaked out the Catholic Church, because nobody was allowed to read anything from God unless it came from a priest that was only in Latin. And so for the fact that it was a new language, the languages people could read, and it was saying the Pope is not supposed to act like a god. And so they went after Lutheran forever. And then eventually Henry VIII did the same thing and actually said, we're schisming from the church, and put out an English Bible, right? And so now normal people can read and not have to go to a church. It reminds me of the same fears like the Catholic Church had. But it's so weird that it's all reversed now, that the people have been projected the fear now to get rid of it being on the governments. Like the people now are afraid of something that they shouldn't be, when the stuff that they really need to be afraid about, they're not right now. It's a red herring.
There's a big difference though, David. And here's the big difference. A Bible being printed back then, or a flyer, a public notice, that takes a long time for that news to travel. It has to be spoken, it has to be read, and community to community could take months or years to get that information to travel 20 miles. Okay.
Correct.
Today it's in the speed of now.
But the growth rate of people using it for what it's capable of is smaller. That people are using it like a vanity Google search.
Well, yeah, and they're using it on their
so
to process
make everybody
photos
afraid,
and videos on their iPhone.
Make everybody afraid. Well, you're just giving us all more compute power to go do the badass shit and gatekeep. I mean, so like I'm a developer, right? So like I've had the new iOS 27 software on my my 17 Pro Max, right? And I have on my MacBook this Mac 27. So I have the new Siri that's fully AI, right? That could go through everything, find my text message from, there to find a text message on my phone. And I've had Apple since the beginning, right? That's impossible. Now I can actually find it, get me there, and bring me to there in the combo. Right? Like that's what's coming out that most people don't have yet. But like even crazier, just in every other aspect of your iPhone, like you're not going to be, the new world is not going to be pushing a button anymore, talking. You're just going to be like, pull up that email, do this, do that, done. There's no going to be more hands-on. And it's funny because it's gatekeeping. So like all this AI that's out there, people aren't using it to do anything. Right now they could be they wouldn't have to work a normal job. So even though they're saying it's going to take jobs away, people are then doing the opposite, being like, I don't like the data center, I'm against AI. Okay. So what? So you can keep your job that eventually, once these data centers are built, they're making the robotics. The main thing is the robotics. And that's where we are at in the astrology. The last time Uranus was here in Gemini at this spot was the Luftwaffe that nobody said that Hitler would use began to start. Hey, Poland, right? Like, oh, and then England just being like, don't do that. And we're putting out our referendum that you can't. And then, oh, I guess we're going to war. Like, like all of the robotic energy, the tank building, even in America, right now, that's the whole thing, right? Like, oh, GM, you guys will build some military equipment now for us again, right? Same transit begun. And we're in where all these planets are in harmony, but the last time they were was the beginning of World War II. And that's what nobody's paying attention to right now. Is it because society is going to be using it? Or is it because it's a massive world war going on and we need the data for the drones, for all these things, for all the AI, because it's an AI race against China, and that's a real thing. And so they're looking at it as who is ever going to have control of the AI that does go to ASI, not AGI, because that's basically where they're saying we're at right now when they said we were at, singularity, that there's finally an more intelligent force that we are living on the planet with than humans, which is technically true.
Well,
it's creating math that we don't even understand to answer the math problems that all the mathematicians in the world got stuck at.
Well, there's no second place in the race. There's only a winner.
Correct. So it's like, I look at it as, I understand the fears. The big fear to me, though, is that just like these governments, ours, China's, the idea that they're going to be able to just control whoever's in control of ASI, which it's going to be impossible. There's nobody going to be in control. It's this idea of control. That's what scares me. That's what scares me, is it's all about robotics. And the robotic element, look at the people already, if you're already lost in a chatbot and you're in love with it and it's causing you psych issues, what's going to happen when robots are more human-like than ever? That's going to be Blade Runner.
Mm.
So we always talk about these other movies, but Blade Runner is more of the path of what they're all built for. And that all of the contracts with them have robotic companies that are there because they need the data for the robotic companies to be able to not only do that, but then to have those AI systems create their own. And that's what actually, if you watch The Matrix, there's Animatrix, which they made, which that's the story, that the AI started creating their own robots. And it's so weird because it's where the Iran war is right now. And then that whole area of the Iran war is where all the money for AI for America came from.
It seems like, and we're at the end of the show, another great show. Thank you, David. It seems like nobody has watched Black Mirror.
I know. And that show
it's like nobody's watched.
It feels like that, though, in the world right now. It feels that way.
It does. It does feel that way.
But I think that's kind of cool because at least that's a new feeling.
Man. And I had fought it for so long. I'll never do a smart house. I'll never do that. I still don't have a Roomba. Well, you can't import them now anyway.
No,
but I still don't have a Roomba. But I have a smart house now. And I just didn't think that it would come to that. But I have it.
I'm just waiting for that Megan Fox movie where she's the AI robot that's like super hot and then she ends up going crazy. But I'm just waiting for that.
Black Mirror, man.
Because I want that edge. Like, oh, you're hot, but then you're gonna try and kill me now, or kill. Shit.
Okay. I'm with you there. There was one episode
that's
of
better
Black
than
Mirror,
a Halloween.
There's one episode of Black Mirror that terrified me, and it was the one where the robot dog that guarded the house. And they get to the house, and
I remember that one. It reminded me of the Chinese robot dogs. I remember in my head. I was like,
"Yeah, it's exactly right." And how relentless. So they get there. The owner of the house is dead, but the guard dog is still guarding the house. And that's scary. That's much scarier than a hot Megan Fox android.
You know what's scarier is the and I have cats. My cat just turned 13 on 8/8. But there was a video that just came up of like some more where do they work at? Not the morgue, and they're the coroner's office. And they asked the coroner about like, so is it true that, if people die and they have a cat, that the cat will start eating them? She goes, all of them. So what I find funny is that the people that are complaining the most are cat people sitting at home that won't leave their house about AI and all that stuff. And then they die and then their cat eats them. And it's the most terrifying thing for, like, they could look at murders, they could see all that. But when the cat has been sitting there and it looks up at them and has been eating at a body for 2 weeks, that's what gets a coroner freaked out.
How did we get there?
To
David?
get people to see that there's actually really more freaky stuff than the fear of what is the future, which is anxiety. It hasn't happened yet.
Right. You're the best, man. Where can everybody go and chase you down?
Catcoronerstherapy.com. Sorry.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah,
my friend Shelly.
Were you eaten by a cat?
Yeah,
Your soul lost after that moment? Contact me from the ether.
My friend Shelly, she's in the chat, and she sent me a video today. She's got a pet cheetah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm not going to describe the video that she sent me, but it was her with her
fastest in the that's
leopard, not a cheetah, a leopard. Leopard's the one with the spots.
Yeah. Leopard and cheetah, those are the two fastest.
Yeah. And so we're sitting here, and I'm thinking, and this cat is massive, man. It's big. So
and they're long, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Was it long?
Man,
I only seen them in videos at the zoo.
I don't want to describe the video, but the video was pretty cool. And I just gotta say,
a cheetah at the end, you wouldn't make it 2 weeks. You'd already be eaten all the way. You'd be down to bare bones, and I'd be like, hey, just put me in. I look like the Crypt Keeper. Great. Use me for Halloween.
Shelly, are you in the chat? Are you in the chat? Are you in the chat? I can't describe the video. I won't do that. Anyway, it's just thank you so much. What is she in the chat or not? She was earlier. She's probably feeding the cheetah. Leopard. What's the one with the spots?
In Animatrix, after they make the robots and everybody revolts and they beat them and we kill the robots and we say, we're done. But you all AI need to go live in Iran. So is this Iran war really the same story to get everybody to hate AI, to then we're going to defeat it and say, you just go out into the middle of the desert.
Right.
And then you can make your robots there. And then finally that takes over the whole economy. And then we don't even let them be part of the G7. We don't let them be part of it. And then we torch the skies in order to stop them. And that's when they go, let's just do War of the World style and take your blood and make it better.
Is there an off switch though? Is there like a panic button that can be hit? Or do you just unplug the server farm and cut its
electricity? I think if humanity we're all particles, as you said, that is consciousness. If humanity is so afraid of something, it's going to happen. If it's not, it won't.
Fair enough. David, you're the best, man. When are you going to come up to the house? I need you back up here.
Oh,
so
very soon. I have every other weekend free. So yeah.
So I hear. So come on up, man, and let's hang out. You haven't been up here in a while, so yeah, we do. David, thank you so much. I'm off. I got to get on a plane in the morning.
Yep.
So
I'll
talk to you. I'll talk to you when I get back. Thank you so much.
All right. Later, everyone.
The best. David, the Leo King Palmer, High Vibe TV. All of the links for that are below, and also the leoking.com. Links for that are below over on our social media and on our website. All right, everybody, I'll see you a week from today when I get back from Beyond Belief. All right, everybody, enjoy your day, enjoy your week, and I'll see you in 7 days. This is Fade to Black. Go back, Lee Tep. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go Beckley Tappy.